Hello and welcome to the Season 3 recap of Seccession. If you need a recap on Seasons 1 and 2, I'll link that video up in the cards and in the comments. So in episode 1 of Season 3, we're in the aftermath of Logan's blood sacrifice in the form of Kendall being the face of the family scandal, and Kendall deciding at the 11th hour not to take the fall, instead telling the world in a press conference that Logan knew everything and he has documentation supporting this claim. The episode opens with the whole family, minus Kendall and cousin Greg, as they circle the wagons and figure out their next move. Kendall is currently psyching himself up or on the verge of a meltdown, and cousin Greg is there with him. Kendall eventually gets it together and decides that they're going to Waystar. Carolina, who has been with Kendall up until this point, decides to leave the car. She has some doubts about how Kendall went about things. The other Roy kids are watching the news as the news continues to report on Kendall's bombshell allegations, accusing Logan of facilitating the abuse cover-ups. Shiv tells Roman that they should stick with their dad, but things are not looking good. Kendall is on the drive, putting together his legal and social media PR strategy when Logan calls him, trying to get him to step down and retract his statement. Obviously, that doesn't work. Jerry suggests calling the DOJ, the Department of Justice, to tell them that they, Waystar, will set up a committee to investigate the allegations, and they should also express how horrified they are by them. Logan doesn't like it because they would have to then cooperate with the government. Roman agrees. He thinks that they should pretty much destroy Kendall and let this die out. Logan decides then that he wants to contact the president. Jerry gets on a call with a representative of the president who has sway at the DOJ. It's a tense call, and while the president respects Logan, it looks like he doesn't want to risk any exposure, so his people are shielding him and are a bit resistant to letting him get on a call directly with Logan. Kendall calls Shiv, but she promptly hangs up without saying anything. Team Logan wants to get Lisa Arthur, a well-known lawyer, on the case because not only is she really good, but it would be great optics because she once did represent trafficked sex workers, so it would maybe give people pause if she decided to defend Logan because she has credibility. She's also a friend of Shiv's, so Shiv might be able to talk to her, but Logan decides that for now, he hasn't made his final call on the lawyer yet. Kendall goes to his ex-wife's house and asks if he can set up his war room there. He needs a place where he won't be hounded by the press. Team Logan is on the way to the Balkan, Sarajevo. He wants ideas on who should be CEO. He tells Frank that he's not trusted. He thinks maybe Roman or Jerry. Shiv doesn't have experience. Tom calls Shiv then, because he's with them, from the private jet, and tells her what's going on, and she says that she wants the CEO spot and Tom should hustle for her. Tom ends up kind of stabbing Shiv in the back a little by not pushing for her, but maybe it's a strategy, and Logan even suggests as much. Roman calls Logan and says that it should be him. It's his time and he's ready. He suggests that maybe he can work with Jerry to gain some experience. Logan promptly tells the team after the call that Roman is out. He calls Shiv and tells her that he wants to talk to Lisa about retaining her as legal counsel. Shiv also informs Roman then that their dad Logan told her that he wants her to be interim CEO. Lisa tells Shiv that she can't represent Logan. Shiv then asks Lisa for her help personally, and Lisa declines. Shiv is very bitter about that and she storms off. Logan calls Jerry and tells her that she will be interim CEO because Shiv has messed up with Lisa. Then Lisa arrives at Kendall HQ. Kendall calls Team Logan and Frank spills the news to Logan that Lisa is going to represent Kendall. Shiv meanwhile gets a call from Roman, who pretty much throws in her face and gloats that Jerry is going to be CEO and that she, Shiv, failed to get Lisa. In a fit of anger, Shiv tells her driver to turn around. By the end of the episode, Logan is rather fired up and ready to go beast, he says. In episode 2, Logan is trying to call Shiv and she's ignoring his calls. He also calls Roman and tells him that he should keep an eye on Jerry and that it just had to be Jerry for now. Over at Kendall HQ, Greg is panicking and Kendall has to talk him down a little. Greg steps outside and he gets a call from Tom and tells Tom that Shiv has just arrived at Kendall's, and Tom pretends that he knows that she's there. Shiv says that she's not there to cozy up to Kendall. She tells him that he screwed the family over. They're cordial, but she's fence-sitting a bit, stalling. She's not ready to go back to her father, having been burned by him, but she's not on Kendall's side either. She tries to get him to get rid of the papers, the documentation proving that Logan, or at least the very higher ups, signed off on the cover-up. Logan is having a meltdown, meanwhile. Shiv is MIA and he has no lawyer. Tom calls Shiv asking where she is, and she lies and she says that she's at home, but he knows that she's at Kendall's. Roman also shows up at Kendall's then. Cousin Greg's grandpa is in the city to sort out his affairs as well. He offers to set Greg up with legal counsel so that Greg doesn't have to accept the lawyers that both Kendall and Logan are offering. He, Greg, wants to be more neutral and have his personal interests protected. Connor also comes to Kendall HQ. The siblings are all together, but not exactly aligned. Finally, Marsha arrives, and Logan tells her that it's not a good time to be estranged. So remember the affair with Rhea and the fact that Logan had named her as CEO last season? Well, yes. Marsha had said at the time that Logan broke something between them. Well, he needs Marsha now. She chats with Hugo and tells him that she has some requests after being humiliated by Logan. She requests 4 things: that her daughter is taken care of, that her son Amir's prospects are assured, that her role on the trust is finalized, and she also wants an improvement in her financial position. Then she'll agree to play the happy, supportive wife to help Logan's optics. Stewie comes by and they ask what Kendall wants, and he says that he still sticks by the offer that they made Stewie and Sandy in Greece, but now it'll be without Logan. He wants a conversation and an agreement that if they push Logan out, they can avoid a contested shareholder vote. Kendall tells them that if they stick with Logan, even if he does offer them the board seats, he'll sideline them one way or another. Shiv calls Tom to finally tell him that she's with Kendall, who's offering an alliance. She's not sure though. Roman calls Jerry and tells her the same thing, and he asks her advice. What would happen if the kids were to group up and oust Dad? She says that Logan would probably be toast, but they would likely get burned too. Roman, Connor, and Shiv eventually decide they're not with Kendall. That's not in their best interest. Cousin Greg goes over to meet his lawyer, but it seems that his grandpa and the lawyer have their own agenda. They want to poke around at Waystar and expose the rot and corruption in corporate America. Greg wants to more focus on not going to jail or being prosecuted. At the end of the episode, Logan is back in the country and the kids are there to welcome him. He offers Shiv president. She thinks that this is just a mascot, a figurehead, a made-up role, but he tells her that he wants her to be his eyes and ears at the top as Jerry steers the ship for now. In episode 3, Kendall meets with a journalist and it's awkward. He tells her about how things are a dumpster fire over at Logan HQ and tells her that he's very happy in his headspace. His demeanor is a little weird though, but kind of normal given the circumstances. Logan tells the group to kill some deal that Jerry is working on. He says that he hopes his acting CEO isn't acting too much. Kendall arrives at a party which is like a fancy reception for some committee celebrating the work of journalists, and he sees Shiv there. She tries to convince him that she's tired of all the BS as well and that maybe they can fix things from the inside, and Kendall could stop throwing stones. Then, as though it dawns on him, Kendall asks whether they made her get dressed up for this, and he says, "Oh, it's you now. I feel sorry for you." He then walks away, and you can see that Shiv is momentarily affected. Also because earlier that day, Hugo and Carolina did try and get her to be the soft female face of the company and her dad's team for good PR. She'd backed out at the time, saying that she'd rather focus on the Kendall problem. Shiv meets with Logan. He wants her to be more front and center with her defense of him. She's kind of prickly though. She knows that Logan isn't looking good and that the government has an incredible amount of leverage. Tom tells Shiv that he spoke to somebody who told him that he would likely go to prison. He suggests offering himself up to Logan and risking that prison time. She says no at first. It wouldn't even come to that. You're not going to go to prison. But she agrees that it would be a good move for Tom to tell Logan that anyway, because that'll give them brownie points, so to speak, with Logan. Her agreeing to this is pretty concerning, even though she makes it seem as though it'll never actually happen. Tom goes to Logan and he says that at the end of all of this, if somebody needs to be the person to go down, as in to go to prison, he'll be the one. Logan assures him, much like Shiv did, that it won't come to that, but he thanks Tom. Kendall decides that he's going to Waystar, and it's panic stations in the building. Logan wants to fire Kendall, but Jerry tells him that HR is looking into getting him to step down. She advises against firing him because that would be like handing the DOJ a gas can and would also be a PR disaster. They try to block Kendall at the entrance, but he eventually makes his way in. So the big fuss about Kendall's arrival is that they're also hosting the town hall headed up by Shiv, and she's there to assure everyone that they're investigating and that they take the allegations seriously. In the middle of her speech though, Kendall blasts blasts a Nirvana song on the loudspeakers, drowning her out and disrupting her speech. She's livid. After this, Kendall is getting ready to go out to do a TV appearance. Shiv then drafts up a letter and asks her siblings to sign it, but Connor and Roman won't do it. The letter basically says that Kendall is an addict, a serial liar, he has his own problems with women, and he's not credible, and how concerned the family is about him. Shiv says that she'll do it herself then. Obviously, she's still fired up after Kendall sabotaged her town hall. Up until this point, the siblings have played dirty internally, but they've almost always put up a united front to the public, and now with Shiv putting this out, this brutal statement, this is different, and it really knocks the wind out of Kendall's sails. He pulls out of a pre-planned interview, and the host instead reads out on national television the letter that Shiv wrote. At the end of the episode, Jerry comes in then and says that the FBI is downstairs. Logan wants to stall, but Jerry is adamant that there's no way out of this. The optics of resisting the FBI would be disastrous, and they would crowbar the door anyway. Eventually, Logan agrees to cooperate, not as though he has a choice. There are no more moves now. Kendall's fortune looks like it might be changing, for now, and his problems are no longer news. In episode 4, Kendall is pleased about the raid, and Cousin Greg gets a text from Logan summoning him over. Kendall is on a conference call with Jerry, Frank, Carl, and the rest of the family, and Frank tells him that the FBI raid caused serious blowback from investors. One of the investors, Josh Aronson, is thinking of going over to Stewie and Sandy, and he has 4% holdings which they need, and with the shareholders meeting 4 days out, they've got to fix this because they need his vote. Josh wants a sit-down interview with Logan and Kendall in a room together, and Kendall says no. Roman then offers some dirt on Kendall. He tells Jerry that years ago, while they were out, they came across a homeless man and they got him to tattoo Kendall's name or his initials on his forehead. Roman wants to potentially use this against Kendall, but Jerry doesn't like the idea. Cousin Greg goes to see Logan, and Logan tells him that he doesn't want to see Greg hurt. Logan tells him to think about what it is that he wants and to come back with an offer to get back onto Team Logan. I thought that they were setting Greg up to be some kind of unassuming genius, but he's bumbling about this season, and I don't really know where they're going with him. Frank calls Kendall and talks him into a meeting with Josh, Aronson, and Logan. Shiv then goes to ask Tom for the media department to put out some bad press about the administration, as in the president's administration. He tries to push back, and she eventually pulls rank and tells him to get it done. Kendall gets to Josh's place ahead of Logan, and then Logan arrives. Logan tries to get Josh to just sit tight and he'll make Josh rich. Josh says it doesn't work that way, and he suggests that they all go for a walk. So they bring in Tattoo Guy, and it turns out that he's since had the tattoo removed. The guy also doesn't feel good about that period of his life, so he wouldn't even want photos of that out there, even though Roman is offering $1 million. We'll see later that the photo does turn up though. On the walk, meanwhile, Josh says that the easiest thing would be for Kendall to just back down. Kendall thinks that Logan and Josh are trying to pull one over on him. Later, they're having lunch and Josh isn't convinced that Logan and Kendall will be able to work together, but Logan then gives a really heartfelt speech about how Kendall is maybe the best one out of them all, and it could be him one day because it's in his blood. He also says that he loves Kendall. Well, it seems sincere. On their walk back, Logan is visibly struggling, his breathing is labored. Eventually, they get him to sit down while they call for help. Shiv, at this point, has been running about the office, kind of giving people pointers on how to do their jobs, looking after her father's interests. She's pretty arrogant and not very well liked because she's a bit of a nepotism hire, and the people she's ordering about are professionals, while she doesn't have any experience, so it's very awkward. In episode 5, it's the day of the shareholder meeting. Frank calls Kendall and asks him, is there a back channel for them in case things go belly up? It looks like Logan is willing to let this go to a vote, which would be a risk. Nobody knows yet which way Josh Aronson is going to go, and without his vote, it's hard to see how Team Logan will be successful. Jerry and Carl's talks with Sandy and Stewie were unproductive. They were demanding 4 board seats, way too much. Logan arrives then, and Carl suggests that Logan delay the vote. Stewie goes to see Kendall. He agrees that Logan letting things go to a vote is a bad idea, and Kendall's trying to get them to the table for a deal. Stewie calls Logan HQ and decides now they do want to settle, and Logan says no. Why are they willing to come to the table now? He wants Sandy and Stewie to sweat it out a bit. Jerry ends up meeting with Stewie and Sandy's daughter who represents him in the negotiations now. Stewie and Sandy also want veto voting power, over any Roy family member taking over as CEO. Jerry, acting on Logan's orders, says no to the veto. Anyway, the lawyers decide to hash it out. Kendall tells Greg that he might have to give him up. Since the DOJ is being non-committal, he needs to throw them some red meat, and by giving them Greg, it's something, and then maybe that'll lead them to Tom, and the pressure will mount and they can get to Logan somehow. Greg has gotten rid of his lawyer, and his grandpa is mad. He asks for some financial backing anyway, and that's when his grandpa tells him that he's in the process of leaving all of his money, including Greg's inheritance, potentially $250 million, if I recall from last season, to Greenpeace. Greg will later want to sue Greenpeace. Logan is a bit iffy about the deal that the lawyers are hashing out to avoid the shareholder vote, and just then Team Sandy calls and says that they have another request to get rid of the private jets because they're elitist. Everyone at this point is waiting on Logan to give an answer. Are they taking the deal or not? But Logan doesn't want the deal. The jets are a deal breaker, and he thinks Sandy and Stewie are kind of jerking them about. Also, at this point, Logan is having some kind of medical issue. It turns out that he has a UTI, so he is a little bit confused or has some brain fog. Now, the team isn't sure if Logan was in his right mind when he turned down the deal. Shiv goes to Sandy's daughter and then says that they've changed their mind. They'll accept the deal and scrap the jets. Sandy's daughter is pleased, but not entirely satisfied, she says, knowing her father. There might be something else, so Shiv had better stay close to the phone. Shiv then offers her a 4th seat on the board for her, Sandy's daughter. Then Waystar will get an extra seat for Shiv. Sandy's daughter isn't quite thrilled, but she says she'll let Sandy know. In any case, the team agrees to the extra seat, so no shareholder vote needs to happen. They have a deal. Then Kendall crashes the stage and calls out the names of all the victims of the company's negligence, and he says that he's starting a foundation for them. In the end, this is just a Hail Mary, and it doesn't really work. Wealthy people are more interested in protecting and making their money, and it seems Kendall's crusade has lost its steam. Logan is not happy though. He thinks that there's blood in the water and sharks are coming. At the end of the episode, we see Kendall making a call and Logan telling an aide to block that number. In episode 6, Kendall is being prepped by his legal team about the illegal payments, who approve them, based on everything that he's witnessed. They're prepping him by asking him questions that the DOJ is likely to ask. Lisa tells him that they don't really have a slam dunk because Waystar is fully cooperating now, offering resources and even employees to talk to the DOJ. Plus the papers that a big part of Kendall's case hinges on aren't as explosive as they were sold to be. Things are not going well. It's also the Future Freedom Summit, and this is where the family is this week. It's a political conference, and it's low-key kind of the place where the elites will be picking out the next president. It's all very rich and secretive. The siblings find out then that their mom is remarrying. Kendall has a sit-down with the DOJ. It doesn't go well. Lisa and Kendall part ways eventually. Kendall's looking for new representation and he's on the verge of a spiral. Logan gathers everyone to give names of their favorite candidate for president, and we get the news from Hugo that the DOJ case is weakening and no one big, excluding Tom possibly, is looking at jail time. Just then, Tom either makes a call to or gets a call from Kendall. So Kendall and Tom have their clandestine meeting and he says that he could get Tom out of this mess. He wants to offer Tom an alternative to going to jail. They could help each other out because Kendall could use a witness, someone higher up on his side. He dangles the possibility of immunity as well, which the DOJ could possibly offer. Tom wants to think about it. Kendall also asks Tom if he thinks that Shiv will be waiting for him when he gets out. It's a risk though for Tom, but Kendall does snap a photo of Tom as he leaves, so there is proof that they met. So they're discussing the future candidates. They put Connor forth as a possible candidate, but yeah, no, that's a non-starter. The candidate that Roman wants, though, has some fashy tendencies and no filter. Roman would want to tame him, but Shiv is against him because this candidate is basically hinting at some kind of great replacement rhetoric. He's xenophobic, but he's attractive and charismatic. Shiv thinks he's a dangerous candidate who's deeply unpopular. Logan does not appear to be listening to her advice at all at this point. At one point, her father demands that she be in the photo with this candidate, and she tries to fight it, but in the end, she ends up being in the photo. And as a previous political player, this is potentially damaging for her, to be seen cozying up with an alt-right type. Shiv has been cropped at the neck and humiliated by Logan almost consistently throughout the season, and it'll be interesting to see if there is a breaking point. In a later episode, Roman will kind of refer to her as a girl boss sock puppet president, as in president of the company, which is actually really gross and sexist, but it does accurately describe the role assigned to her at this time. Episode 7 opens with Kendall singing a sad cover of Honesty by Billy Joel. He's rehearsing his birthday performance. By the way, throughout the season, Logan has had this younger female aide with him a lot, and it's never really made clear what's going on, but they do look rather cozy. In this episode, Shiv talks about his midlife crisis and how he's sleeping with somebody 50 years younger than him, referring to her. So yeah. Jerry shares the news that her DOJ contact has said that it seems as though Kendall has overpromised. They're probably all in the clear. Tom probably won't be going to jail. Logan gives Roman an envelope for Kendall as a birthday gift, and Roman gives it to Kendall. It's a birthday card that has the happy birthday message scratched out and Logan's written, "Cash out and F off." And with it is a proposal to buy out Kendall's shares, and we'll learn later that it's for $2 billion. Rufus Madison is at the party as well, and Logan wants to buy his company. At a certain point, Roman gets talking with him and arranges a meeting with him and Logan. Ken's ex is there, and she tells him that the kids left a gift for him, and he has a bit of a panic trying to find it, and then he tells Naomi that he wishes he were home. Roman taunts Shiv, telling her that the men have all made the big moves without her. He also tells Kendall that Madison actually hates him, and he pushes Kendall to the floor. At the end of the episode, Kendall leaves his party and he's sadly laying on Naomi's lap. His ex-wife has properly moved on, his siblings seem to hate him, his father wants him out, the DOJ case is losing steam, he's incredibly lonely and it's not looking good. In episode 8, Roman tells the team that they're in the process of acquiring Madison's company. Sandy and Stewie are feeling a little bit ambushed, and they think that the deal will reshape the company. Roman is nervous about their mom's impending nuptials to Peter. He's had several bankruptcies, divorces, he has a bunch of kids, and Roman wants to make sure that their mom has a prenup because she's also still involved in the company, and this would impact them. So their mom is getting married in an Italian villa, and we get to meet Peter, and the grifter alarm bells are possibly going off. A journalist from Politico is also digging around Willa, Connor's girlfriend's past. At his mom's wedding then, he gets down on one knee and proposes. She says that she needs to have a little think about it. Jerry tells Roman that he needs to stop sending her photos of his privates. She's dating someone else now. While they're all at the wedding, they see a social media update by Madison saying that he's going to Macau and he's feeling lucky. This is kind of reminiscent of Elon Musk tweeting nonsense or going on Joe Rogan and saying things when he was high, and the shareholders or markets or something are getting all jittery. Shiv and her mother have a chat, and her mom tells her that she was really a piece of work when she was 13, when she chose to live with her father after the divorce. Her mother says that she probably should have never had kids. She should have had dogs instead. Kendall and Logan then have a dinner together, and before he eats anything, Logan calls out Kendall's kid to have him taste the food first, to make clear that Kendall isn't trusted, or he wants Kendall to think that anyway. Kendall says that he wants out. He wants his $2 billion, and he'll be a ghost. Logan says then that he needs to think about it. Kendall is surrendering at this point. He admits that Logan won because he's evil, corrupt, and smart. Kendall just wants to be let go, and then Logan brings the England vehicular manslaughter incident back. A veiled threat perhaps, but a reminder that he's always been there to clean up Kendall's messes. Shiv and Tom are having this very awkward foreplay, and we're not sure if they're role-playing or not. She tells him that he's not good enough for her, and that's why he wants her and loves her, even though she doesn't love him. It's pretty clear that this is more than some kind of humiliation kink pretend game. There's some truth to this, or at least judging by Tom's expression, he wonders if there might be. The next day he references the spicy pillow talk, as he calls it, from the night before, and he says that he feels a little uncomfortable. Shiv is flippant about it, and she says it was part of the game. Then she weirdly says, "I may not love you, but I do love you." I can't read their coded language really, but he certainly seems insecure and not reassured. Roman goes to visit Madison then. He asks Madison about the tweet. Asks him if he wants the deal. Madison is non-committal, and he says that he wants to get in bed with people as in do business with them, but he wants to share as equals. Roman tells Jerry then that he thinks that Madison is not interested in being acquired. He's more looking for a merger of equals. Roman then tells Logan, and Logan knows that he would have to split control, but Logan is still willing to hear it out. And then the crazy moment happens. Roman means to send a photo of his privates to Jerry, but he sends it to Logan instead. Logan asks Roman if he's a sicko, and he asks him once or twice again in these last 2 episodes. Then Logan asks, what happened to that nice piece of tail you were with? Meaning Roman's girlfriend Tabitha. He then asks Roman what about Jerry interests him because she's 1,000,000 years old. He suggests firing her, but Roman says that would be a bad move to fire somebody who Roman technically sexually harassed. Shiv tells Jerry that she should report Roman to HR. She's obviously trying to use this to get ahead of Roman. At the end of the episode, we see Kendall in the pool and he's on a float, maybe having dozed off, and we're not sure if his face is in the water. In episode 9, the final episode of season 3, Logan assures his grandson that his dad, Kendall, is okay. We hear that they just kept him at the hospital overnight, and he eventually comes out to see his family and he says he doesn't want to fuss about the whole thing. He also announces that he might be publicizing his communications from the last 5 years on Instagram, and there are talks about an interview with Vanity Fair. Then Jerry announces that they'll likely be hit with a massive fine from the DOJ and that Madison's company's market cap is overtaking Waystar's. Logan decides he's going to see Madison and he takes Roman with him, openly sidelining Shiv again. Logan and Roman get to Madison and Logan wants to know if he's in or out. The Waystar business model is kind of dying, they have the fine, and Waystar needs this. He doesn't say this, but Madison knows that Waystar needs him at this time. Madison says that he wants to take over. He thinks it makes sense and he would buy Logan out. Roman would be integral to the team and he'd assess the abilities of the rest of the staff at Waystar. Logan says no. Then he tells Roman that he can leave, and Logan stays behind with Madison. Roman is looking concerned. The siblings get together then, and they tell Kendall that they love him, kind of like an intervention. Also, Willa decides that, sure, she'll marry Connor. At their mom's wedding, Roman finally tells Shiv that Madison suggested buying Logan out, and that Roman was sent away from the meeting. Shiv is mad, so she calls Kendall. They need to fix this. Kendall doesn't want anything to do with this though. He tells Shiv that he thinks that there's something wrong with him, he feels disconnected from everything, and then he also confesses to killing the kid, the waiter. He's finally admitting defeat, having a breakdown, and his siblings awkwardly try to console them in their way, but they are there for him. So the kids all decide to go and see their dad. They obviously don't want Waystar to be sold to Madison. Roman asks if they can even stop him, and Kendall says yes. A change of control needs a supermajority, and the holding company that their mom got them in the divorce would mean that they, as Logan's kids, are needed. A deal can't be sanctioned without them. This kind of gets Kendall awake and going a bit. Shiv calls Tom and tells him what they're planning to do. Tom then offers Greg a way out. A deal with the devil. Even though Greg doesn't really seem to know what's going on, he agrees to go ahead with Tom. The kids all go to Logan and he thinks this is the best moment to sell, he tells them. Roman isn't wavering in his resolve as his dad tries to bring him over to his side. The siblings all decide to stick together this time. Logan then gets their mother on the speakerphone and it's revealed that Logan has already gotten to her. It's done. Roman tries to ask Jerry for help, but she says that she's just there to look after the best interests of the shareholders. Being on their sides is not even in her interests. At the end of the episode, as Tom comes in, Shiv secretly sees Logan pat him on the shoulder. She knows that it was Tom who sold them out. And that is the end of season 3 of Succession. Thank you for watching.